Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back. I know earlier I promised you that we would be bringing you live updates throughout the day on the situation on the Alabama Gulf Coast after Hurricane Sally hit early this morning as a Category 2 hurricane. Now, our own Mobile-based reporter, Lawrence Becker, is in downtown Mobile. I will give people a chance to kind of log on and get on this video before we flip you around to show you the damage that he is seeing. But again, this is destruction caused by Hurricane Sally that hit earlier this morning as a Category 2. Earlier this morning, the National Weather Service said that Baldwin County had received at least 20 inches of rain. I don't have that number for Mobile County, but that area has been plummeted by rain since early this morning. So Lawrence is in Bienville Square downtown. Lawrence, tell us where you are, and then I'll get you to show us what we're looking at.
Okay, so I'm in Bienville Square, which is a central public park and right in the middle of downtown, the heart of downtown. It's a very historic spot. It's known for its historic cast iron fountain and for its canopy of old oak trees. This is a space that is very familiar to almost everybody who lives in the area. It's used in a lot of festivals, any kind of happening downtown. Mardi Gras parade routes pass by here, so untold thousands of people have camped out here to watch their Mardi Gras parades go past. And it definitely suffered some damage in the winds last night.
Yeah, we can even hear a little bit of that wind around you. It's not ripping like it was for our own JD Crow, who was on the pier at Fairhope yesterday. You could hear that wind ripping, but you can still hear it a little bit right here. Again, for those of you who have just jumped on, this is Lawrence Becker. He is one of our Mobile-based reporters, and he is at Bienville Square, downtown Mobile. So, Lawrence, I know you said there's some trees down, and there's a lot of open sky space at Bienville Square, which is not common for that area. As you said earlier, it's usually a canopy of trees overlaying that park. So let's get a look at that central fountain, which so many people might be familiar with from Mardi Gras, from different festivals and things like that in Mobile.
Sure. So here we go. Here's the fountain. We're looking kind of southwest at the moment toward Dauphin Street in the background. And you can already see there's some small branches piled up at the base of the fence. But the real serious damage is a major oak tree. One of the central ring of trees around the fountain has basically snapped off right at the base. And I'll come around so you can get a better look.
You can tell that tree, those winds must have been just extremely forceful to snap that tree almost from the roots right there.
Yeah, and these trees, they live in a stressed environment. They have cement around them. They have a lot of public traffic around them. A lot of work has been done over the years to try and keep them healthy and safe. But when the time comes, there's only so much you can do against a hurricane. And you'll also notice as I pan around, there are a lot of sightseers out. There are a lot of news crews doing interviews here. But like I say, this is a public space. Everybody's familiar with the square. And everybody has memories of this place and of the shadiness. Now, looking toward the pavilion over here, and that's the RSA Tower you see rising in the background. But here's another tree, not an oak, that has snapped off probably about 15 feet in the air. And so that's gone down also. Looking around, you see, even though we only had the one major oak that fell, several others have lost limbs. And in some cases, these limbs are as big as a normal tree. So the upshot is, when you look over this fountain, you see a lot of open sky. And to anybody from Mobile or familiar with this square, that's going to be a very strange feeling.
Now, I know you said that one oak right over by the fountain was the one oak that you've seen that has been snapped off. But like you said, there's branches. We're seeing smaller trees or large tree branches all across this park and this square. You can see right there where you have it, there is a lot of cleanup to be done in this square. Now, I've got a couple people asking about the fountain. Lawrence, tell us, is there any damage to the fountain?
Not that I see. The perimeter fence around it looks fine. As you see, the water's flowing. It doesn't look like it was hit by anything, which is good, all things considered, because it easily could have been hit by one of these branches.
Mm-hmm. And what about the pavilion? I know when you walked over there, there was a lot of destruction surrounding the pavilion, but hard to tell if the pavilion itself was damaged.
It looks okay. Of course, I can't be sure if there's any roof damage or not, but as far as I can tell, the pavilion is fine. It's a pretty sturdy structure.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know that you have been walking around the downtown area when you got to the square. Lawrence, what else have you seen in the downtown Mobile area? Are there other places that have been destroyed? Is there more destruction around the downtown region?
Definitely. Near Bienville Square, there are a couple of businesses that have lost plate glass windows. The Haunted Bookshop is one that people may know. There are small landscaping trees down here and there. There seems to be a lot of big chunks of some kind of foam insulation scattered around the neighborhood, like somebody had some wall damage or some roof damage. But I haven't seen any real structural damage, just small trees and a couple of windows.
Now, I know too that again, you live in the Mobile area. You're talking that there's not a lot of structural damage you've seen downtown so far. Is where you live okay, or is anybody in your neighborhood received structural damage?
So I live in midtown Mobile in a neighborhood near Mobile Infirmary. And my neighborhood, I did not see any damaged homes. However, there are quite a few trees down, some of which are blocking roads. There are a lot of these have taken power lines down with them. I would say the power situation is a mess because they're going to have to extricate tree limbs and trees and power lines from each other before they can actually start the repair work.
Now, and this, you might not know the answer to this, Lawrence, but I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you anyway. We've got people asking about Orange Beach. Is there a way to even get to the beaches right now? Is the causeway still closed, or what are things that you know of looking like down in that area?
I really don't know about beach access, but based on the fact that the storm did most of its damage in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and Pensacola down that way, I would advise against it. I would imagine that authorities are telling people to stay clear of there. I know that here in Mobile, the power outages mean that there are widespread traffic lights just out. I was kind of surprised when I got to downtown and found traffic lights that were actually working. So I think there are going to be road hazards going down to the beach. I'm sure the local officials will have something to say about that. We've got reporters out in Baldwin County right now, so I'm sure that information will be coming out.
Now, we know you talk about power. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Oh, on that point, one thing I have heard that I can say definitely is that Baldwin County, access to Dauphin Island was shut off the last I heard, and you had to have a re-entry pass to get back on the island.
Got it. So I know a couple of people asking about the beaches. You just heard, Lawrence, you got to have a pass to get back on Dauphin Island right there. We've got people saying, I love that little park area. I know Rachel says, I love that area. I used to sit there and enjoy it so much. Rachel, I think that a lot of people are in your boat, as we can tell from everybody that's out here looking at this damage.
Now look at this. Here's something I had not noticed before around on the other side of the square. Here's one of these big oaks it's another one of the big central perimeter oaks that is probably a goner. It's ripped up from its roots here, and it's still partly upright. But I don't imagine there's any way to save this tree.
And these trees, I mean, as probably a lot of us here, especially in Alabama, know, these oak trees live for years, hundreds of years, and it takes a long time for oak trees to get as big as these ones in the square are.
I hesitate to offer a guess because people look at the size of the trees and the character of the trees, and they throw around estimates that they are, 200 or 300 years old or whatever. But the climate here does lead to accelerated growth. And not to take anything away from the trees, but they're not always as ancient as, a casual onlooker like you or me might guess.
Good fun facts there, Lawrence, for this day. We can see all of this destruction, but it could have been worse in this area. The fountain is still standing. The pavilion is still standing. It looks like many of the other big oak trees are still there. We got a lot of limbs down and that one big tree down. Now, Lawrence, is there anything on the kind of perimeter of the park or on any of those other streets that is damaged that you could show us?
If you've got a minute, I can walk over this way and show you some of the damaged storefronts.
We will wait on you. I'm going to look through our comments here. We've got people, and we should mention this, that we are still in the middle of a pandemic. We do still have a mask ordinance in Alabama. I think it was Kelly who was saying she did not see people in this park wearing masks. Lawrence, while you've been walking around, these visitors you've been seeing to the park, have you seen masks on any of these visitors?
I have not, and haven't been down here in recent days. I was down here for Art Walk on Friday night, and there was a pretty good level of mask use during that public event. I think this is just so out of the ordinary. It's sort of blown people out of their usual behavior patterns. And another thing is it's extremely breezy here. It's an outdoor environment. The hurricane force winds and tropical storm force winds are long gone, but it is still a gusty, breezy, fresh air outdoor environment. So I would say probably as long as people don't huddle up together too closely, the masks aren't going to be a huge issue.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm looking too again through some more of our comments. Cindy, I don't know if Cindy's a tree expert. She's telling us the tree could probably be saved, that one that was pulled up from the concrete, but is easier to just take it down. So Cindy, thank you for that little note there. Unfortunately, you're probably right. Derry saying that trees are down everywhere in Spring Hill. Derry, I'm sure you're right. We have reporters in Fairhope, Mobile, Baldwin County, and they have seen trees and power lines down all across those areas. So I'm sure Spring Hill is no exception. Now we have Carol who says, how are the businesses? We're giving you a workout, Lawrence. She said, how are the businesses on Dolphin Street? Feel free to walk a few blocks. We'll wait on you. That was from Carol. So
I'm at FOY, which is a healthy eating restaurant store here on Dolphin Street across from the square. You can see a storefront window was broken out here. There's a damaged TV hanging on the wall there. And there's some of that. There's a pile of glass on the ground in front of this Hargrove doorway, and they were putting plywood up earlier as I came to the square. It looked like they finished boarding up, so that's covered up now. Across the street, this is the corner of Dolphin and I'm not going to embarrass myself by getting it wrong, but we're just off the corner of Bienville Square here. Mm-hmm. We're looking at Mobile Bay Reporting. There's a big plate glass window knocked out of that building.
We can see that next to that plywood. You can tell that entire pane is out.
That whole pane is gone, and you see more plywood on the ground there where they're getting ready to deal with that. Here's one of the smaller trees I told you about, these small landscaping trees. You see them out. As I arrived here a little while ago, the owners of the Haberdasher were coming in to check out their place. You see, their glass is fine. The light fixtures above the door, some of those have been damaged, but their glass is fine. And the owner told me that when they remodeled a while back, they had put in hurricane rated glass. So he obviously was very pleased about that decision, especially when he can look right across the street and see broken windows.
Absolutely.
Moving on down Dolphin Street. Here's the Haunted Bookshop, small independent bookshop that's been here for a while. Similar to FOY, they'd lost one of their showcase windows out front, and you can see the damage. You can see the glass piled in the doorway. Now, this big triangular piece of foam, that's the kind of thing I was talking about earlier, and I'm not sure if that is roofing material or wall insulation or what, but there are big chunks of that stuff scattered all around the intersection of Dolphin and Royal. Here's Squid Ink, one of the downtown restaurants operated by Panini Pete Blom. I saw him walking around earlier, scoping out the situation.
How is Squid Ink? Can you tell if there's any broken windows over there?
They don't seem to have any broken windows. They seem fine. Now we're coming down to the corner of, this is the corner of Dolphin and Royal Street. We're looking eastward toward the Mobile River. And there's a real mess over here in front of Serta's Coffee, which is a pretty well-known restaurant. If you've visited downtown Mobile and spent the night in a hotel in downtown Mobile, there's a pretty good chance you came by Serta's Coffee. The business itself is fine, but here's a bunch of this foam insulation. Like I say, I can't tell if that's roofing or wall material, but whatever it is, somebody lost a lot of it. And here's a small decorative tree that's been snapped off right in front of Serta's.
So we can see, it looks like you mentioned earlier, most of the damage is trees down, windows busted, but luckily no huge structural damage at this point in this area, right, we should say. Amy points out, she says, my prayers are with people and the animals. Amy, let me tell you, I'm hoping to talk with somebody a little bit later about that, but I have heard from an animal rescue agency in Baldwin County. I'm getting my notes out here so I can get this right for you. I believe it was the Baldwin County Humane Society. If that was not it, forgive me, but it was one of the animal agencies in the area said they would not be picking up strays until Thursday. And if you saw a stray animal, to please keep that animal, if possible, until Thursday. So hopefully we will have some more information on that for you in a bit. We do have it on AL.com in our live updates post if you wanted to read more about that. So, Lawrence, where are you going now? What street are you on now?
So what I'm doing now, just because it might be of interest, I'm continuing down Dolphin Street toward Water Street. And this is a downward slope. So we're getting down to a lower elevation where if we had a storm surge, there would be a potential for businesses to be flooded. Mm-hmm. So you can see some, as we come up on this building ahead of us, you'll see some pretty heavy duty countermeasures that they did in order to prepare for that storm surge. Mm-hmm. And as luck would have it, we did not get the storm surge because the storm shifted to the east of us. It actually sort of sucked water or blew water out of Mobile Bay. The water level in the bay dropped, and that's great for us here in Mobile because that meant the tributaries leading into the bay didn't flood. But here are sandbags at the doorway of the Bayport building. And further up Dolphin, where you're on higher ground, you don't see this. This building, you see this massive aluminum plate wall with buttresses that was put in place.
I've never seen that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and what you consider is, as I've walked down this block, we've lost 10 feet of elevation probably. This level we're standing at now, this all flooded heavily during Katrina. So when you see something like this in place, this represents a lesson learned during Katrina. And it's great we didn't have anything anywhere near a repeat of that situation.
Absolutely. I think we can all agree that we are thankful for that. And we've got some people asking about Foley, Hope Faith, Grand Point. Amy, we're doing our best to get you the latest information on that. Some of our reporters are trapped in their neighborhoods or in their greater area, their greater town. So we're trying to get our people and deploy them to those areas. So as soon as we know something, we will in turn let you know. Lawrence, did you have a problem driving from your area of Mobile to downtown?
No, from midtown to here was clear. Didn't have any blocked roads, didn't have any power lines in the way. You know, traffic signals were out until I got into downtown, so people just have to be careful. You know, you treat everything like a four-way stop and you watch out for people who aren't doing that.
Good tip there from Lawrence. This is not the time to get in a wreck. Jared, we have a question. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I know you've mentioned that people are asking about harder hit areas, and I certainly don't intend to hold up this damage as emblematic of the area. This is what we can get to right now. Absolutely, there were areas, particularly to the east of us and closer to the coast, that were much harder hit than this. But this is the situation in downtown Mobile.
We've got a question, Lawrence, from Jerry. He says, any reports on any fatalities?
I listened in on a briefing at 10 a.m. that involved the mayor and one of our county commissioners. They, at that point, were not aware of any fatalities. They were, Commissioner Ludgood said, I think in the Citronelle area, there was a tree that fell on a home and caused some minor injuries, but that was the worst that she mentioned.
Thanks for that, Lawrence. We've got another question from Sharon. She was asking about forecasts. Sharon, if you want a full forecast, go back and watch our last video with Lee Morgan or read that on AL.com. She's our weather reporter and gave us a little bit of an update on the changes in the forecast, but it looks like Montgomery is going to be about as far north as that heavy rain gets. They don't expect, meaning National Weather Service and other forecasters do not expect torrential rain past Montgomery. But Montgomery was supposed to be on the lookout for rains and possible flooding from the rivers. Tisa asking about the bridge. Tisa, if you were asking about the causeway, Lawrence, do you know if the causeway is open?
I do not know now. I know the only thing I had heard earlier was, and this may be out of date by now, but I had heard that I believe it was the eastbound Bayway. Anyway, one direction on the Bayway, which is the elevated I-10 route, was closed, and that authorities were routing people down onto the causeway, which implies that the causeway is open. And frankly, because we did not get the storm surge, I'm sure the causeway is not flooded, so it's probably open.
Mm-hmm.
But
now, do remember that 3 mile bridge in Pensacola is closed. There is a large chunk of that bridge that is gone, broken, and so that bridge is closed. Keep that in mind. So be careful on those bridges. We even saw a bridge off of I-10 where there was a large 18-wheeler that had been knocked over by the winds. So if you are out on the roads, be careful. I know the governor has asked everybody to stay off the roads if possible, but if you have to get on the roads, be careful. Lawrence, thanks so much for giving us an idea of what the square looked like, for taking a little bit of a walk to show us. I know we've got Carol saying looks like most of those businesses are damaged towards the waterfront more so than by the square. So thank you for sharing. And Lawrence, again, we appreciate it. We want you to stay safe out there.
My pleasure, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And for everybody else, we will continue to be doing these live video updates throughout the day. If there's a place where you want to see, please let me know. But we're going to be bringing you the latest coverage here on our Facebook page and on AL.com. So thank you and tune in later. We will see you in our next video.